Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Deal or Bust, where SaaS founders come to sell their software companies or at least get a deal. We've got 3 hungry sharks, 3 experts, and you just saw the financials of the founder joining today. He's grown and bootstrapped to $16,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Again, we've got buyers that love this kind of business, the tools in the SaaS space. Now, if you're just watching this and you missed the live show, make sure you go to nathanlatka.com/next week. That's your way to put this on your calendar. So when we stream live next week at Thursday at 1 p.m. Central, you don't miss out. And next week, our founder has also bootstrapped just past $15,000 a month in revenue and plays in the marketing automation space. So you won't want to miss that episode. But most importantly, guys, what makes this show work is you guys. So you can see this is what happened last week. We had Sujin on as a buyer, Matt and Ryan Kolp, Greg from Bandana, based in Brazil, 12 enterprise customers, $650,000 in annual recurring revenue. Got some offers, ultimately didn't like the deals, but there was a big debate and you guys participated. You see there on the right in the comments, you guys were saying, take the deal, don't take the deal, go for it. So it's really important that you guys know that we are watching you. We are watching the live feed. You can feel free to engage there. And so what I want to do is go ahead first off and say hello to everyone. So tweet binders joining live. Guys, let us know in the comments real quick where you're joining. And here's what you're in for. As people trickle in, we're expecting 50, 60, we're up to 70, which is great. But here's what people said after they watched last week's episode. Clinton said, really enjoyed this. Can't wait for the next one. It's like Shark Tank, but raw. And then complimented the founder for coming on. We had Ebener saying, great show. This could be the next Shark Tank. And we had folks like Brian saying, aspiring entrepreneurs and founders, this is well worth the watch. So I'm excited to meet everyone. I just need to get my thumbs up from Darwin, my back and everything. Darwin, everything's streaming okay, comments okay, everything's working, that's good. Alex Franco said, let's go. Andrew is live from St. Pete, Florida. Guys, say hi in the comments real quick. Let me know where you're joining from. That is your way of telling me that you are ready to rock and roll and have some fun today. Again, we're 60 seconds away from meeting the founder. Then we'll meet the buyers and we'll have a lot of fun. Matt Geary joining from Cape Town. Matt, it's good to have you. Will from Uplead, the man with all the leads. Will, it's good to see you. Richard Nairboss, good to see you. And I know we have some Jason Lemkin fans, some Andrew Warner fans, and some Tom Hunt fans watching today. You're going to hear from all those 3 live here in a bit. Richard, good to see you as well. All right. The last thing before we jump in and meet the founder, if you guys are selling a SaaS company or you want to buy a SaaS company or you think you can bring your expert advice here live, go to nathanlatka.com/casting and we'll make sure to reach out to you and see if you're fit for the show. All right, with that being said, again, teasing, the experts you're going to learn from today are Andrew Warner, founded Mixergy, sold his first company after growing it to $30 million run rate, now travels the world. You do not want to compete with this guy, whether it's scotch drinking or marathon running. He'll kick your ass. He's a ton of fun. You'll meet him in a second. We've also got Tom Hunt with SaaS Marketer, building a great list, one of the best content creators I've ever met. We'll talk about the leggings he pitched on Dragon Den a little bit later. Bit surprised there, Tom. In my research for you, I found that. I said, we're putting this on the show. And then Jason Lemkin needs no introduction. Built and sold EchoSign, one of the OGs in the B2B SaaS space, has now launched SaaSter and most recently raised a $70 million fund to support some of the best, brightest founders coming up in the B2B SaaS space. So we'll also learn from Jason. All right, with all that context, you'll also meet our sharks today. Matt Alfhauser with Polychrome Capital will meet in a second. Andrew Gosdeki, who sold business apps after growing it to 18 million, is now looking for a SaaS company to buy. And we're also going to meet Preston Tucker, who worked at Amazon for 7 years, running an internal business that did over 9 figures in revenue, now building PMT Ventures. Now, with all that being said, again, I want to remind you guys, super engaged. We want to see your guys' comments. Let us know if you have questions for the founder. We're going to meet the founder right now. The company is called Karma. Stas, I want to welcome you to the show, man. Thanks for joining Deal or Bust.
Hey, everybody. Hi, I'm Stas, building Karma. So should you tell about the company or I'm going through the pitch?
So Stas, I'm gonna make this like flow so easy for you. I'm gonna tee you up with softballs. You're gonna hit home runs, and then you're gonna get big offers from buyers, and I'm gonna get a 2% cut. Okay?
Oh no! Oh my God! Yeah, this sounds so good.
Let me tee this up for you, right? So guys, I found Stas through Indie Hackers, I believe. Actually, I reached out and I said, Stas, this is a great tool. Bonding for remote teams, it's a hot space. You're playing in the Slack space. Stas, tell us real quick, why don't you round out the team for us? Let's start there. So this is what the team looks like today. What's everyone working on?
Well, we've got a team of contractors and several of them are permanent. And we have Victor at the bottom row. He's been one of the lead developers since day one. Andrew is helping Victor, and Eva, she's one of the HR consultants in a big New Zealand firm. In terms of New Zealand, we are from New Zealand, so that means that we're talking about a team of 3,000. We're getting some insights from her. There are a couple of designers, and I myself, as a user experience and user interface designer, I actually can code, and I'm the product kind of person, and I really enjoy building this tool.
And so tell us when you
Myself.
launched the company and what you've grown revenue to today.
Right. So we launched it a couple of years ago. We built it for ourselves. Then we put it out and realized that people want to buy this too. We slowly but steadily bootstrapped it to the numbers that you're seeing now. Y Combinator School really helped. We went through a couple of them, and they helped us to focus on MRR metric, and this is what we're tracking now.
So what is revenue today?
The revenue is 200,000 ARR, which is 16 something MRR.
That's great. And so how many customers does that make up?
That's 230 teams today. 2 teams joined just today. And there is a freemium model. We also have 2,000 teams approximately using it, but only 230 paying.
Very good. Okay, so let's understand how these teams are using your product. So you lead here with "Is your team okay?" Karma's here to help you sort of get through COVID. Explain how your tool actually works.
So we figure out that people need to share more than just things on chats, and chats is the new territory for businesses who take their communications from email onto the Slack platform or Microsoft Teams. It works on Microsoft Teams as well. And those are both like growing platforms. So we want people to be able to share praise, to share some big thanks to each other thing that like, well done, mate. And that builds bonding. And also to get the team engaged, we have the reward system, we have the achievements, and we're trying to keep them entertained. What you can see on the other side as the manager, you can see the activity meter. So you can see if you feel that your team is down, and this is a big problem for the team of 200 people and more, you can confirm this through this data. When you have data, you can measure it. When you can measure it, you can improve it.
Very good. And so we're going through product screenshots here. So this is a tool that is specific to Slack groups only, or can people use this outside of Slack?
Slack and Microsoft Teams. One of the challenges we have now, we want to build a standalone system, and this is like a big stealth project for this year.
Great. So a standalone system. We're seeing some of the reporting dashboards here. What else are we missing about the product, or do you feel like you've covered it here?
One bit that we don't really connect to any of the incentive systems. Like there is no integration. There is no way to drain your credit card. All the rewards that you have on this reward store, they have to be fulfilled manually. This is a good thing and a bad thing, and yeah, we can discuss it later.
Okay, very good. And so what are you looking for today? I mean, help us understand sort of, are you looking at raising capital? Are you looking at selling for the right price? Are you looking to just sort of get more customers? Where's your head at right now as a founder?
We are getting a lot of customers these days, just 2x than usual, just because of the COVID. Everybody's trying to stay remote and be happy in this state. So I'm interested in getting more customers, sure, and also trying to understand the numbers. I mean, if it was on the market, how much would it cost?
Yeah, very good.
And everything is for sale. It's just, yeah.
Everything's for sale for the right price, right? Guys, with that being said, let's meet the buyers. Again, a critical piece to making this work is we're trying to enable all of us to watch live how SaaS companies actually potentially exit. So we want to go in. We're going to meet our buyers now, and we're going to start off with forwarding here. We're going to start off with Matt with Polychrome Capital. So deal target enterprise B2B space, looking for 500K to 5 million in terms of deal sizes. Matt, welcome to Deal or Bust.
Hey, thanks for having me, Nathan.
You bet. So give us a bit more context here. What's your sort of background and why are you now interested in buying B2B SaaS companies?
Yeah, I've been working in B2B SaaS for less than customizedly, and then was most recently as COO at Amplitude Analytics for 3.5 years. So now just switching to the other side, want to own companies. We look for technical teams that are looking to scale go-to-market. So we come in and add that execution. I have 2 partners that I work with as well. Greg Lazarus has also been a CRO, and then our other buddy helps out, Alex Boswell, who's in the FP&A side of things.
And how much capital are you looking to spend this year on acquisitions?
We're looking to deploy. We're actually raising we have our own fund of about $5 million ready to deploy, and then we're looking to raise an additional fund right now, actually.
That's great. So good. So maybe find one company to do a $5 million deal, or a couple companies for $1 million each, or something like that.
Exactly. Yep.
Very good. All right, guys. So that is Matt. Next buyer I want everyone to meet is Andrew Gosdeki, who just had a recent exit. He is an operator himself. Andrew, welcome to Deal or Bust.
Thanks for having me, Nathan.
Look at that! Look at that smile, man. What's the teeth secret here? These things are like white flashers all over the screen.
Just floss twice daily, man.
Floss twice daily. I like that. All right, so walk us through here. You know, you grew a very popular tool called Business Apps. Did I get the number right? You grew it to 18 million in revenue.
Give or take a few million, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And you sold it recently. Why'd you sell the company?
Honestly, ran it for about 10 years. You know, in SaaS, that's like 30 years. So got tired a little bit, got a good offer that I couldn't refuse. And it was all cash, 90-day exit, and worked out. So here I am.
And so now what? You're itching to get back in the game and you're looking for a company to acquire and operate?
Yeah. So recently I've been helping a lot of founders sell their companies, and I'm now looking to buy my own company. Definitely interested in the space. So Stas, I know we've exchanged a few emails. So super excited to learn more and see if we can make a deal here.
Oh, good. Some background history. We always love a little background tension. That'll be good.
I don't know if you remember Stas, but it was in April. But we went back.
Yeah.
Stas, do we like Andrew or do we not like Andrew?
We like him very much. We like everybody. Everybody's great.
Great answer. We got an upcoming politician on the show today. All right, our last buyer I want you guys wants to meet is Preston Smith. So Preston, again, super impressive background here in terms of experience at Amazon running internal teams there. Now looking to buy his own SaaS company. Preston Tucker, welcome to the Deal or Bust.
Hey, thanks for having me, Nathan.
You bet. So first timer on the show, first time buyer. Give us some context. What'd you do at Amazon?
Yeah, I ran global robotics and software programs in my last role. Part of them were remote too, so I'm pretty excited to look at a remote product today. Started investing last year, made 4 investments, and founded a firm, and then went full-time into this and started raising capital, exclusively focused on the SaaS space now. We're a couple of weeks out from closing on our first deal this year, and then looking to keep the ball rolling.
That's great. So how much capital are you looking to deploy this year, would you say?
About $2 million for the rest of the year.
Very good. 2 million. So maybe 1 deal, 2 deals, something like that.
Yep.
All right, guys. Very good. Well, there you have it. You have the buyers. You guys got a bit of sense of the product. So guys, this is your show now. So Matt, we'll go to you first. What questions do you have about the product?
Yeah, I'm always interested to understand usage and how that leads to your pricing structure currently. So do you guys currently have a North Star from an engagement perspective, and then how does that tie to your pricing and expansion of the product?
Right. Okay. So we have 2 platforms, and both are using subscription models. And we charge on Slack. We charge a fixed price per team based on the size, like 3 tiers. And then on Microsoft Teams, we are charging per active user. And that is actually those are 2 completely different platforms. One is more like Slack, being more casual, being more hip and cool and stuff. And this means cheaper. And then Microsoft Teams is being more corporate, more enterprisey. And there we can roughly charge $2 per person. On Microsoft Slack, $1 per person, approximately. Altogether, we are living within those marketplaces. The app is featured here and there. And that means that we just organically gaining approximately 500 to 1,000 teams per month.
And what's the most common acquisition channel that you use?
Okay, so they come naturally. They come organically through the store. Well, also with Karma, I think there is a term like Karma bot in itself. This term, it's been used on Reddit. It's been used on Atlassian. HipChat had this. So people just Googling the term Karma bot, and that is us. The first front page of Google results is us. So Google and natural marketplaces on Slack and Microsoft Teams marketplace.
Andrew, let's go over to you. What product questions do you have?
Yeah, in terms of the product, how do you define daily active users? Like, what's the success metric? You bring teams on, you have 50 users. Are all 50 users of those sending rewards? Is there a certain percentage? Do you track any of that data?
Yeah, definitely. We have a very in-depth and granular dashboard for ourselves. So that one shows us all sorts of stuff that people do. And what we track karma. Karma is the action that you do. You send in 1 point to another person. And that is not usually happening daily. This is something that you do at least, like I say, if you have people of 10, that means 1 karma point a day, at least 2, maybe. So because this is like a recommendation. This is almost as if it's a recommendation letter from one person to another saying how good they are. So we track that, and we track reactions as a general meter of activity. Rewards are even rarer. Maybe once a week you actually purchase something. We track that as well. So active users, we have weekly 12,000 people.
And then just
meaning that they send karma.
A quick follow-on question to that. So you reward employees with points to buy certain products. Do you take a commission on those products, or are they just products that they go and buy with the points arbitrarily? If that makes sense.
Well, it's a great question. Yeah. So we actually built this reward system to be very customizable. So that means that it's not necessarily the monetary rewards as such. It could be a day off, or for the educational companies, and this is what we see. We see that karma is really well adopted in schools, just American schools, New York schools, for example, and that means they have students working on assignments, getting points, and then they can go online and purchase, let's say, a letter from principal to their parents saying how good they are. It's not really, there is no way to take commission on that. It's just one of the ways to spend points for them.
Guys, before the next question, if you're just joining us, I see about 50, 60, 70 of you guys joined since the last time I introduced the show. You're watching Deal or Bust, the place software founders come to sell their company. We've got 3 great buyers. You've met them in Andrew, Matt, and Preston. We've got 3 experts, Andrew Warner, Jason Lemkin, and Tom Hunt, coming up here in a second to advise Stas on the business, on a potential sale. We'll see what happens. And then what we're building towards is by the end of the show, we're going to see if a deal can happen live. The buyers will make an offer, or they'll say, I'm not interested for X reasons. Stas is going to say, I love that price. We have a deal. Or what the hell are you thinking? You're so cheap. Double your offer. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you're just tuning in, keep that in mind. And we are taking your questions from the audience as well. So you can over here, comment in the chat live or below, wherever you're watching, and I'll funnel those questions live on the screen. So Stas, you have some fans in the audience already. Uvasu Paidi is saying steady growth, potential is huge. Your churn is so low. I mean, it is under like 0.5% every single month. You rarely see that in an early stage SaaS company. How have you gotten your churn so low?
We believe it's a habitual thing. There is a free version. You can use free version, and we don't really track. Well, there is no churn there because they don't pay. But the people who stay, who decide to pay for karma, they become addicted to this. This is something that it's a part of the team culture now, and it's really, really, really hard to pull it out when it's in.
So just to give context, you guys can see here on the screen, right? In May of 2020, so 2 months ago, they added 1,500 in new monthly recurring revenue. They upgraded 405 accounts. They had only 126 in downgrades and $400 of churn as they passed 15,000 bucks in monthly recurring revenue. So Preston, let's go to you. Any questions here about the growth or the company or the product?
Yeah, I've got 2 questions. I'll start with kind of the activity level, piggybacking off of Andrew's point. What does the range look like, across your customer base for that engagement level? And is there anything you've done to take, some of the best practices maybe your most engaged folks have used to, educate some of the less engaged customers and drive further adoption?
Yeah, there is an inbuilt mechanism with the bonus system that we placed in. So if you share in karma, you get your karma share, and then based on that, there could be a bonus set by the team management. So we will make sure that you actually get in a fair proportion of this bonus based on the karma that you share. So this is it's kind of difficult to explain like that, but engagement is one of the biggest issues. And when I talked to Lattice's CEO, Jack Altman, this was his first question: how do you keep the engagement up? And we're working on that. So this is really tricky, especially within the chat. We have champions, as you mentioned, like there are people who are actually promoting this, and this is usually set up from the top to bottom. It's not like Trello, where you have an engineer using this convenient system and then asking the management to purchase it. It's usually the management of this team who comes in and purchases this cool tool and explains how to work. And we have materials to help them. We do demos. I myself and my co-founder, we do like 5-10 demos a week to just explain how it works and helping managers to set it up.
Okay, Matt, do you have any follow-up questions?
I'd just be curious, from how do you identify the free accounts that should be paying you? Is there an activity that they do that leads you to believe, oh, these guys should be paying now? Or what bumps people up most often from free to paid?
When they try it on, it's like 30-day free trial, and they have all the features on. They have 30 days to play around with everything that we've got. It's very simple. It's either everything is on or you're on a free plan. Free plan is kind of limited, and they get switched back to the free plan after the 30-day free trial. So it's like the opposite. We don't really work with free. We have enough people willing to stay with Pro to help them to convert them in this window of 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Stas, I have a question. Matt, am I interrupting? Or are you good?
Go.
So in terms of leads that you get each week, do you track those? Like how many leads do you get a week, a month, a quarter? And how many of those would you consider qualified leads as well?
We have, and I think I mentioned it before, like we have usually 500 teams registering organically each month. And recently with the COVID events, it was 1,200 even in May, I think. So those are coming organically. We just trying to hold the fort, and people come for demos, and usually demos help to convert. Generally speaking, to a person, it's helping, and otherwise it's a self-service. I mean, you're using the product, you have the onboarding, you have the tutorials and everything, and then they just convert. There is no.
And that's a ton of leads. So now I'm wondering, do you know your demo to close rate? So when you do a demo, how many of those are actually closing into new business?
Well, I think with the demo, it's around 10%. And without the demo, it's like 2-5%, depending on the month. So,
gotcha.
Not a lot. It's difficult. I mean, there are several products like that, and it's difficult for the management to decide that this is what we're gonna go with, because it's sort of commitment. And but at the same time, if they are hooked, they are hooked. They're with us.
I have another question, but I'll leave it to Preston or Matt.
No, keep going, guys. Jump in.
So Stas, now I'm wondering, so with your LTV, it's at what, 2,500 per customer?
Yeah.
Who is your largest customer, and why do you believe that is so low? I feel like this could be a product that could be across 100, 200 person Slack team. What is keeping you in that small LTV range? Do you know?
I believe it's actually something that we live within the marketplaces that someone else has built. We live within Slack, and we live within Microsoft Teams marketplace. And that means that companies already paying $6, or I think it's even higher, $13 per person to use this cloud service with the chat in it. And then on top of that, we only can comfortably charge that much. There is a limit. Like, it's really difficult to sell something that is higher than $2 per person on Slack, just because people paying $6 for Slack already. And this an add-on cannot. I mean, we naturally figure out that this is. We try to play around with the prices. If it's higher, they don't buy. This is the golden middle part.
So guys, on
And that's
that,
why we try to get.
Stas, real quick, just jumping in. I've let the buyers come off the stream for a second. I want to get them some time off camera to sort of analyze the metrics they've just seen. They have some of these screenshots, the analytics now. So I want to give them time to reflect and go into thought while we bring on some of our guests, our experts. So the first person I want to bring on, Andrew Warner. Again, this is a guy you do not want to compete with if it comes to anything related to marathon, business, or scotch. Andrew Warner, welcome to Deal or Bust.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me on here.
You're not running anywhere today. Which continent are you on?
I'm stuck on North America. I'm so glad that last year I decided I would do my 7 marathons on 7 continents. If I had to do it this year, oof, I would be in pain.
I love that. Well, guys, those of you just tuning in, you're watching Deal or Bust. We've got founder Stas here with his company Karma, a tool that helps helps managers keep their employees engaged in Slack. Now, Andrew had a heads up about this company yesterday. And so, Andrew, I want to kind of let you now go back and forth with Stas. What questions do you have about the company? And Andrew, you sold your company back in the day. What advice would you give Stas as he thinks about these sorts of deals?
I think he might be a little too early to even be considering a sale. I think it's great that he's on here and willing to share and talk about it, but he's onto something. I think he should just keep riding it and tell the guys, forget it, no matter what they offer him. Listen, learn about why they want to buy the business, and then say, all right, thank you, maybe later. Because he's growing. I was looking at his G2 reviews, and I saw there was one person who was in e-learning because her school is closed, and I was thinking about my kids. They used to be in class, get rewards, ice cream day, sleeping bag day, whatever, if they participated. Now they don't have any of that. Are you guys thinking about going into schools now, especially now in the fall when so many of them are going to be stuck home?
So, yeah, one of those things we're trying to pivot. Maybe this whole project will become an educational kind of software. And we're looking into that in integration with Google Classroom and Canvas. There are platforms for that. They can work in elementary school. They can work for higher college-like groups as well, and that's a huge opportunity. And we're looking into that actively because the feedback so far from the educational space, where people just used to like exchange these fake numbers like marks and points, this is much more comfortable for them rather than in the workplace.
And you're thinking they're using Teams already. You're thinking of going on the other platforms that they're on. Right.
Yeah, they get in Teams for free. And we focused on Teams for now, but at the same time, like 85%, from what I've heard from my research, 85% of the educational organizations, they use Google Classroom. So Google actually penetrated this market pretty well. Yeah. And they have an API, which is not that good, I heard, just no one heard this. But we can probably work with that.
Okay, and then what about pricing? I was looking at Disco, I was looking at Taco in the chat here. I've been pretty active in the YouTube chat. People have been talking about other alternatives. They're all charging, it seems like, $3 a user. And you guys are at the $2 a user range, and then people need to buy in bulk. What are you thinking about changing your pricing?
We tried the pricing. We put it twice as high. Usually this is what any expert would come and say. You want to earn more money, put your prices up. We tried, and it didn't work. So there seems to be first Karma was really cheap, and we charged like $24 per team. Then it was kind of expensive, and over time, this is what we can comfortably sell nowadays. Maybe if we package it better, it will be easier to sell at higher price. At this stage, this is what we feel comfortable with.
And that brings me to the last thing. I think just before Nathan introduced me, you're starting to say that you have a plan for increasing prices by not being on a platform.
By not being, that's the other bit. And this is really important. If we are a self-standalone system, then we charge in $5 per person, and that everything comes to us. And this is like it's like almost 5 times higher than what we charge.
But isn't it more of a pain in the ass to tell people leave the platform, go on to our own website? I feel like the elegance of your software, I tried the demo, and one of the things that's nice about it is I don't have to create an account on Karma. I just get to use whatever Slack account I have. And now you're going to be saying, leave Slack, go to our website instead, because that way we can charge you $5 a month?
No way you're going to leave Slack. This is unrealistic. It's just, we're thinking about the system where you plug the Slack channel in, Microsoft Teams in. And we talked to Expedia, for example. They're a huge company, and they couldn't use Karma because not everybody, they use Slack, but not everyone is on Slack. Some teams, they use Teams, and some teams, they still use emails. Can we create users with the regular email? We said no, because it's not available yet. But then in the future, we'll have different channels, plug it in, use it as the whole holistic system, if you will.
All right, you know what I'm going to do just for people who are listening, since I've been pretty active on YouTube, I'm just going to give them the username and password that I've got to try out your product on Slack. I'm sure everyone here has Slack. They might as well just, while they're listening in, go and try it. You're cool with that, right? My username,
Sure,
the username and password you guys do for the demo. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right, he said yes, there it is.
Yeah.
I love that. So Stas, Andrew's going to hook that up with everybody in the chat, and Darwin, we'll make sure we get that featured on the screen as they do that. Before we go to Jason Lemkin and Tom Hunt, our other expert, and if you're just tuning in, we've got buyers right now that we're just quizzing Stas about the company. He's doing 16,000 top line. He's only 2 years in, hot space, low churn. We're getting advice. Those buyers are going to come back on in about 10 minutes. Right now, they're looking at the data going, okay, what if I did make an offer on this, about what would I offer? So we're going to go to them in a second. We're going to introduce Jason Lemkin here in a second. But Andrew, one big question I have for you, because, you know, Mixergy, in my opinion, is like the OG sort of business podcast. I mean, my first company when I was in my dorm room at 19, you published your cell phone publicly. I called you, and that's when I quit the burger joint at Virginia Tech and launched my first company. So one of the questions I have for you, since you've seen so much data and so many stories, and you're an operator, a lot of early stage entrepreneurs, especially if they're under 40, underestimate the power of momentum and like getting the leverage you create by selling your first company going into your next one. You know, Stas could keep building this for a long time and build it into, you know, 10, 20, 50, $100 million AR sort of company. But how do you always constantly sort of measure the opportunity cost of taking a deal now versus building it for a decade?
It feels like everyone's different. I interviewed the founder of Qualtrics. The guy was, while I was talking to him, he was waiting to take on more work. He sold his company for, you guys remember how much was it? Over $1 billion, right? He's done really well for himself, and he still just can't stop working. And then other people, they sold their companies and they disappear, and it's a murder for me to even get them to come back on to do a podcast episode about how they did it. Everybody's different. I feel with Stas, though, he's got some momentum with this. He either needs to change a business completely or go all in on it, but I don't think he's at a point where he should be considering selling. I think he should be talking and nodding and listening and learning and improving. But in the back of his head, he should just keep talking about what the URL is of his website. It should not have been Nathan in the chat telling people how to go and find karma when somebody asked in the chat. It should be Stas or someone on his team going, guys, go sign up and give me feedback on what you like and what you don't like about it. Because I'm looking at these people here in the chat. These are some of the most like diehard critic people. These are strong critics. Might as well use all their feedback and improve the software.
All right, Andrew, appreciate you coming on. Where can people, I mean, obviously Mixergy is an unbelievable resource for any entrepreneur, but if people want to connect with you after this, where's the best place for them to find you?
They can't do scotch anymore. I used to say, come to 201 Mission Street. When you're in San Francisco, come and have scotch. I can't. So you got to go to my website and Mixergy or Twitter and all the usual online stuff. But I hope to see people here in San Francisco soon.
All right, Andrew Warner, Mixergy, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, man.
All right, guys, before we introduce Jason Lemkin, again, we're going to go back to the company financials here in a second. We're going to talk about profits and cash flow when the buyers come back on. But first, we're going to talk to Jason Lemkin and Tom Hunt. If you guys are just joining, you're watching Deal or Bust, where SaaS founders come to sell their companies live. If you're enjoying the show and you want to see us do this every week, Thursday at 1 p.m. Central, click the thumbs up right now wherever you're watching. And if we get 50 thumbs up, we'll definitely do this again next week. I'll let you guys do that right now. In the meantime, Stas, I just want to sort of pause. We're about halfway through here. You're getting some great feedback in the chat. Peter Scuda's joining. William Moss saying great advice from Andrew Warner. Bassam Alassi is asking great questions, along with Will Cannon saying Mixergy is the go-to platform. So I'm hoping people are going and they're trying karma as we go through this. Where's your head at right now? Do you enjoy the feedback from Andrew?
Yeah, it's very much on the spot. And I mean, we are trying to get more people, and we are trying to grow faster. And we feel that the moment is right. And it's not just the karma in general in remote work, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's using that now. But it's the schools are going to start in September. They're not sure if they're going to stay open. We're looking into the education space now. And if it's like we have 3 weeks, maybe 1 month to do this.
Yep. Well, let's see what another sort of SaaS original gangster, the OG. Look at that pose on here. Lemkin posing it up right here. Echo Sign loves the company. Let's get Jason on. Jason, thanks for coming on Deal or Bust.
Hey, thanks for having me, my friend.
It's so funny. I'm showing what picture I'm going to use for Jason. And during EchoSign days, obviously a legal product, it's sort of very, very corporate shots. And now it's sort of these OG sort of gangster shots. You're having fun doing SaaStr and everything else.
This was my picture of my brief sojourn working on Sand Hill Road for someone else at a venture capital firm. Yeah, living the good life on Sand Hill, and yeah.
So for anyone that, for whatever reason, doesn't know about the EchoSign story, which really gave you all the credibility to go and build this amazing community at SaaStr, just give us the quick overview of EchoSign. You built it to about how much in revenue, and when did you sell it?
I mean, it's a long time ago, right? I mean, you're right, OG. I mean, my cohorts were, we started in 2005, and so there was me and there was Aaron Levy at Box, and there were all that group of folks, and I accidentally sold my company in 2011, and I was right as we came out of the last recession. So I was the first one of that sort of SaaS second generation that hit scale. Like, we sold literally when we hit $1 million a month in revenue, so 12 million a year, growing a little over 100%, cash flow positive with 140% revenue retention. Unfortunately, none of us knew back then that those were good numbers. So
you were inventing the numbers back then.
So we didn't know. Yeah, we were all like, we thought there was like, no, we didn't even know like what was good. Like, I just thought, hey, like Box is doing better than me and David Sachs is doing better than me. They're all crushing me. I must suck. But little did I know, if you have a $1 million a month, $12 million business growing 100% with 140, you will get to 100 million, right? You will, in fact, actually, you will get to $1 billion, right? And nobody believed that because none of these IPOs had happened. And but so yeah, so I, it was an interesting experience. Certainly, by the standards of the time, we were decently paid, but it was very traumatic to sell your child. So I just started this blog sharing all my mistakes, like how I screwed up hiring a VP of sales. And today those early posts are, anyone could write it that's here. But back then, there was no one like me that had sold, right? There were either folks that had failed, there were a lot of those. And then no one else going out of last recession didn't have to pretend, didn't have to fake it. We didn't have Nathan's data or anything like that. So anyhow, that was the start. And then, I started investing. I've done about 25 or 30 investments that are about 8x and learned from that. And SaaStr has grown as a community from a blog. So
you're meeting Stas here, I think maybe for the first time, right? You saw some of the business metrics. You see a lot of early stage founders like this. So 2 questions for you. One, just overall product. This opportunity to be a $100 million sort of company?
Well, this is an interesting one. This is, you have almost product market fit. You have almost product market fit. You're in a crowded space. This is not a new category. Generally speaking, there's 100 apps that do what you do, and there's 1,000 apps that plug into Slack. However, you have something. You have happy customers. You have essentially no churn. You have good logos. So what you do is good. It is good, but it is not sufficient to build a unicorn, right? That's why your growth is mediocre. You're not growing, right? I mean, you have happy. You just don't do enough. You don't do enough. So when I see companies like this, I say you're almost at product market fit. You have all the other positive attributes. You have, I'm a little bit worried about, like Jack was, about your engagement, but basically for a company at 16K a month, you're in the zone. You're doing pretty good, but you're not getting that pull from the leads that you have, right? Because there's too many vendors and too many apps. So I don't know if this is what you want, Nathan, but my advice to folks at this stage is, look at your team. Are you good enough to get to the next level? Can you build enough code? Can you ship enough features? Can you build the 20 or 30 things that your customers are asking for? So you can break out of this almost product market fit. And many of us have been there. It's not a criticism at this stage, right? But you have enough positive, all the other questions before, like what's your CAC? None of it matters is 16K MRR. You're bootstrapped. None of it matters. What matters is if you can get the product to the next level, you're close. But it's competitive. So if the competitors, if your team isn't agile enough, if you can't build enough software, if you can't ship enough code, I would sell. I would sell to whatever deal you can get today. Take it, book it. And you have to be honest. How good is my team?
Yeah.
Right.
Stas,
I don't know. I
how
can't
good is your
judge
team?
based on what I've seen on your app and on your website. I think I don't know. Right. And that's the existential question for anyone at your stage. And I think anyone bootstrapping at this stage, right? Because it's a long haul. Like, can you get to true product market fit? Because the cloud's on fire, and you're also in a category that should be benefiting from shelter.
Yeah, that is true. And it seems like this COVID thing is going to stay. So we have
maybe
a runway which is slightly longer than previously expected. So the moment and to build the momentum it gives us more opportunity. Well, speaking about the team, this whole Karma business grew up out of the regular design and development studio that we had in Auckland, in New Zealand, and these are the same people. They used to build products, and I trust them very much. I myself am very much a product person, and I like Karma to be perceived as the indie. That's why we registered with Indie Hackers as our own child, as you mentioned before. And yeah, so I think you're right, and it's really one of those moments where we need to take it to the next level, and the team is.
You have the leads, you have the users, you have the happy customers.
Yeah.
So what are you shipping in Q3? Tell me, what are the top 5 features you're shipping in Q3?
Right. Okay. So the first one, people want custom badges. They want managers to send
keep going.
their work.
I'm just trying to get a sense of the velocity. I don't even need to know all the details. Custom badges, woohoo! But I get it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other bit that is not there is meeting randomly with the colleagues at work. This is what Donuts.com does, and this is what people actually like. You don't always know.
Hey, Stas, just list the products. You don't have to describe them. He's just trying to get a sense of how fast are you shipping. Just list the 5 features.
Yeah, just tell us what you're building.
Okay, so custom shields, custom badges, Karma Connect, I call it, and the constant continuous serving, which is Karma feedback module. So with these 3 modules, we're gonna have.
What are you shipping this month? And what are you shipping this month?
This month it will be Karma, the custom badges and one-time purchases.
Okay, I think you're at the edge. I think you're at the edge of having enough engineering resources, enough story points, enough quality to get to the next level. I'm not saying you're not there. I think you're at the edge, right? So that's what that's my advice, is think through, right? How much of this can you bang out so that you're not just catching up to the other vendors, that you can really break out, because people want this stuff, right? But there's 200 vendors in the space. That's what you got to think about.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. The competition stuff.
So
less stuff on chat though. So. Yeah,
Jason. So this is valuable. So good product questions, kind of feedback questions. Obviously, you use right now these days are sort of wearing the VC cap. Any other things that you want to put in front of Stas in terms of a longer term approach? So not just like next quarter in this business, but him as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are. This is why I say this is as you've been doing for this how long? 3 years? 2.5 years?
2.5 years, yeah.
Okay, so how much are you paying yourself? Almost nothing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Stas, what's the number? What's the number, Stas? How much are you paying yourself?
$50K a year from this.
There we go.
Yeah. So like, this is where you have like you did it. You got to this level. Like how many? And you have 200 customers. Sorry, how many paying customers do you have?
230. So
okay, well
230.
230 customers is enough to tell you your roadmap to get to 2 million in ARR. You already know exactly how to get to 2 million. And the issue isn't whether you charge $3.06 a seat or how many MQLs you have. None of that crap matters. You already got to 200. You can get to 2 million just by listening to these customers. And can you build enough, and are you agile enough and fast enough to get there in 18 months or some period of time before the team gets tired or burnt out? That's the question to think about, right?
Yeah.
And you're not venture fundable today. You're not growing at an outlier rate. And in fact, since COVID, the bar's gone up, right? The bar has gone way up since March 15 to be venture backed. It's a little bit counterintuitive because like so many companies are growing more slowly, but then you look at the ones that like benefited from COVID and your jaw just drops. Your jaw just dropped. I invested in this company called Gorgeous, which is a contact center for Shopify. It was doing great. Okay, don't get me wrong. But since March, it's been growing 4% a week at almost 10 million in revenue. 4% a week. So that has nothing to do with the fact that the product is better than it was on March 2nd. Yeah. That's COVID, right? So look at e-learning, look at e-health, look at e-commerce, look at e-collaboration and Atlassian. And so it's harder to get funded today if you're not one of those, fair or not, right? Because all the money is going into these COVID beneficiaries.
Guy, Jason Lemkin. Jason, if people want to learn more about you, obviously you're all over the place, SaaStr.com. Where can they connect with you after this? They have follow-up questions.
Just guess my email or go to SaaStr.com.
A little game. Guess his email. Jason Lemkin, OG SaaS Page. Jason, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, my friend.
All right. All right, Stas, that's good stuff there. Guys, those of you just joining, if you're wondering, what the hell did YouTube just put me in? You see it trending live on YouTube, you click it and you go, what is going on? You're watching Shark Tank for SaaS. It's called Deal or Bust. We have a founder come on. His name is Stas. He's built a great company, bootstrapped it to $16,000 a month in revenue. You can see the unit economics from June, right? So last year, new revenue, churn revenue, et cetera, growing 7.6% month over month. We've got 3 buyers we're going to meet in a second. But first, we're going to talk to our last expert, Tom Hunt. Tom, welcome to Deal or Bust.
Great to be here.
So you used to be sort of on the other side of this. You pitched male leggings on Dragon's Den, and thank God you didn't get a deal. What on earth were you thinking?
We got absolutely destroyed. So we went in there, didn't know what we were asking for. And the quote that I remember the best was Duncan Ballantyne. I don't know if you know him in the States, but he said, you do realize in 20 years, this video is still going to be on YouTube and your children will watch it. And so now 7 years later, actually, this is going on YouTube. So
we watched it. We saw it. For anyone that wants a visual, I'll apologize in advance. There's the visual. Male leggings, Tom Hunt over here on the left, pitching on Dragon's Den. All right, so Tom, here's why I wanted you on the show. You do maybe the best I've seen in terms of content creation in the SaaS space. In fact, it was so good, I paid you to write some content for getlaka.com. It did extremely well because not only do you write the content, you write it in a way that makes it work and market very well on social. So when you look at what Karma is doing from a content marketing perspective, what opportunities do you see?
yeah, on the content side, I didn't see much that you were doing, but I have some stuff that we can talk about first. But I have one question before we get into marketing stuff. When you were asked earlier by the investors, you said they are like, where are the customers coming from? You said organic, just organic. And I know, Nathan, when you interview people on your show, normally when people say that, it's like here's a great opportunity, because it basically means that I don't think you have marketers in your team, right? They just come in because you have a good thing that you're selling, right? Amazing. Yeah. And so I couldn't see any marketers on the team list. Like, you currently employ anybody in marketing?
No marketing at this stage. I basically say we don't have money for this. It's myself posting on the blog, talking about it on Twitter, and that's it. That's our marketing.
Got it. Cool.
And this conversation as well.
Yeah. And then one more question before we go into marketing. Mr. Lemkin said you're not you wouldn't get venture funding now. I get the sense that actually you wouldn't want that. You're on indie hackers, right? It looks like you want to bootstrap, maybe grow. Like, what do you want to get out of this? And David as well.
Well, David and I, we want to build a sustainable company that actually is bigger than the usual a gig for one person kind of thing. So we believe it can become a solid business that we can sell at some point. Not sure if it's 1 billion. Though, and I completely agree with that. It's not for everybody. We figured it out after 2 years. Got it.
Right. So I think that there could be a big opportunity. We need to hire 2 killers. One is a salesperson who's going to take those demos, potentially get a better close rate than you guys, and the second is like a killer marketer. I can help you hire them. I won't take any commission at all. I have a community of these people. I have 3 things that I think that could be an opportunity here on the marketing side. For the first, I have to introduce the prop, and that prop is our little dog. She's called Bear. She's a toy Cavapoo. Here, you see that? Now, so Bear is loved by everybody that she meets. So her viral coefficient for Cavapoos is like massive. And so what I was thinking when I was looking at your tool, what you're doing really good, if you get the free trial, so you're inserted into the Slack team, and so all the employees are exposed to the brand, the KarmaBot brand, right, which is awesome. Yeah. What else can we do to make KarmaBot really, really memorable in the Slack team? So when that next manager or when that next employer is going on to their next company, they're like, we have to have KarmaBot, right? So it's almost like the character of the bot, or hey, how can you make him or her more much more memorable to everybody in the team? You have access to message. I know you can't really do this, but you have access to message people, everyone in Slack, right? We did this in 2017. We released a Slack bot, and I think we did it too much because I'm a marketer, right? And we were just messaging, but we got put in a team, and then we would just message everybody on that team. So that's the first thing, virality. How can we get everybody in that Slack team you've been introduced to remember you and to take you to the next place.
Hey, Tom, let me refocus this question here, just because we have about 90 seconds left with you before we bring the buyers back on and they start making offers or bouncing. If you were going to have him write an article that you know is for a keyword that people that want Slack management tools are going to be searching for years to come, what does that headline sound like?
So what I have here, what is the belief that a customer has to believe in order to want to have to buy your tool? And for me, it's that remote teams need more engagement. And so that's what I build the whole content strategy around. How can you engage remote teams? And so what I would personally do is message your best users in Slack if you can, get their feedback on that, answer those questions. And that's the whole content strategy, is how do you engage remote teams? You become known for engaging remote teams. And when people realize they have to, like when the team go remote, which is going to happen more in the next 5 years, they have to have you because they need a lot more engagement. So that's the one content side.
Engagement. Yes.
For sure. Final thing that I think you guys have done really well. You have two massive backlinks from Slack and Microsoft, like 91 and 96 DR, because you integrate. So anybody listening, actually, it may even be worth just integrating with Slack and Microsoft to get those backlinks, because people would pay like big money for those. So credit to the marketer inside you, Stas.
Yeah,
that's good.
This is all organic. This is all organic. All natural marketing skills and SEO coming because we just started that. Yeah.
So Tom, wrapping up. Again, I want to show people sort of how your brain works in terms of what you did for us, right? So I basically said, here's all the data we captured on outreach. They just raised money at a $1.3 billion valuation. This was back at their 1.1 billion round, and I said, put all of it in a big article. And this article is super long, but it's gotten 25,000 views. We rank for a bunch of long tail keywords, and it's just true brilliant storytelling. So really good job here. Sort of great advice. And the other piece, like, Stas, I don't know if you're this way, but I really struggled with copywriting early on, like how to write headlines. And I actually was just rereading a bunch of these books the other day. These are the 3 books, in my opinion, are like must-haves for any startup entrepreneur that's not a copywriter to like hack copywriting. The first one is, have you guys read this one? Tom, have you heard the Robert Collier letters?
Don't think so, but I should have.
Anyone read Robert Collier letters? It's like this little, very few people know about it, okay? But just trust me, you have to read it. It's very good on copywriting. This one looks super scammy. I mean, this is like something I would write. I mean, unbelievable. It's like, how to get rich. But it's really good with headlines. Oh, I can't. There's no way for me to fix that. Headlines that make you rich. And last one is Copy That Sells by Ray Edwards. They're all really good copywriting books. But Tom, listen, appreciate you coming on. If people want to learn more about what you're building, where can they visit you?
SaaSmarketer.io. So every 2 weeks we I write a case study about a company that's grown, and we send it by email. So SaaSmarketer.io.
SaaSmarketer.io. Tom Hunt, thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you.
All right, guys, if you're just watching, you're meeting Stas, who's built a tool called Karma. He's doing $16,000 a month in revenue. We're about to bring the buyers back on, and their goal over the next 10 minutes is for them to ask any final questions they've got of Stas, and then get to the point where they can make an offer on the company. They'll either say, I'd like to buy it, the max I would pay is X, or they're going to say, I'm not interested for X, Y, and Z reasons. Stas, any feedback you want to sum up? You just heard some great advice from our 3 experts. Where's your head at right now?
Great feedback. This is very intense, by the way. Great feedback. Engagement, location. So this is very, very much valuable, and we totally need to step up. And the windows opportunities closing. This adds more pressure, but overall, very positive feedback. I'm very pleased.
So real quick, a big question we're getting in the comments is expenses. As we bring Preston, Matt, and Andrew back on, can you just go over expenses? Is there profit in the business or no?
Yeah, the business has been profitable since January, when we hit approximately 11K in MRR. And that means that the expenses are around that number. So the server load is actually like the hosting charges that we pay. It's not, those are not too high. We host on DigitalOcean, and this is rather affordable. And Karma is not something, it's not like hosting the videos. We don't do the TikToks kind of stuff.
Well, stop. Sorry, just to push you on that for a second. How can you have 16,000 top line and also be profiting 11 grand when you have a team and you're trying to build? By the way, you might not want to be profitable right now. It's totally okay if you're operating at break even, but I don't see where the profits are coming from.
Well, this is barely profitable. I mean, the team is distributed, and we have, as I said, we have 6 people on the team, but some of them they're not permanently employed. we don't really need designs last month. We didn't really need designs last month, so we focused on the development and bug fixes. So the designer was not on the list of people. So yeah, it's mainly the other co-founder and myself working, and at least 2 people permanently, and the others are coming and going. So this is 10K is approximately that. Yeah.
Okay, guys, Andrew, Matt, Preston, we're going to come back to each of you. I want to give you both. So Andrew, why don't you kick us off? Ask any urgent last questions you think you need answered to sort of get to the point where you can say, I'd value this company at X.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, Oz, congrats on everything that you built. I did a little bit of research while the experts were on, and I noticed you built TimeBot, you have Slow-Mo for Slack, you have a huge portfolio at a company called Slide. I'm wondering, how much focus are you putting on KarmaBot today, or are you constantly building new Slack applications?
Right. It's a great question, because Karma is actually the one that worked. So all others, the one that you saw, the Time and Slow and all other 30 projects that we launched on Product Hunt and got featured there, they sort of sank over time. So it didn't really fly. Karma nowadays is 80% of the time, and Slide, which is still, it's managed by other people now. It's a development service-like studio, very local in Auckland, in New Zealand, tiny market, but it's still operating, yes.
So I get the question I'm really trying to get to is, why aren't you going 100% all in on KarmaBot, and why are you building these other products?
Great question. We stopped building out other products, so now it's just Karma and this other studio. But the way I see it, it's like I'm a farmer, and I have this farm which brings yields every year, and this is sliding. It's been working like that for the last 10 years. This is kind of stable income which I rely on. And then there is startupping thing, and it's a product kind of business, and it's risky. So this is just a diversification. We have the stable business here, which is 20% of the time nowadays, and then we have the startup game, which is exciting, and live shows you get to invited to. Yeah, so
guys, jumping back in real quick. So if you're just joining, we're about to the point where buyers are making offers here, and we want to hear your feedback. You've seen the company, 16,000 top line. Depending on the month, they are profitable, but generally reinvesting everything. A Slack tool here. What would you pay for the company? Type it in the chat. Andrew, going back to you for a second, is it an advantage or a disadvantage that Stas has a bunch of side projects? On one hand, it might make it easier to buy a company from him because he already knows what he'd go work on. On the other, you might say he's not focused. So what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's really what you want to do, Stas. To me, that signals that, you aren't focused on how to grow KarmaBot. Either that means you like to build products rather than scale products. So that could be an opportunity for a growth-minded buyer to come in, or, allow you to build more products. So I think it really comes down to, what you're looking to get out of this. And that's, I think, a big question for you right now.
All right, Preston, let's go over. Actually, do you want to respond, Stas? Do you have any follow-up there?
Yeah, well, the quick answer would be I would like this Karma to be the ship that drives my life for the next several years. And if that would be monetary and fiscally possible, that would be great. So this is the short answer. And the service, selling stuff as a craftsman, you can only do this up to what age, like 45, 50 years old, and then you're not hip anymore. You're not cool web designer anymore.
All right, guys, let's go to Preston, Matt. We're going to go to both of you guys. Last questions, and we'll circle back to all three of you on if you want to make an offer or not, and then we'll let a negotiation happen as we wrap up. Preston, let's go to you first. What questions did you find in your research over the past 20 minutes?
Yeah, so just looking at some of the financials. So I think you said 11K revenue was your break even. You said you took 50K on drawdown salary. I'm guessing, I'm looking for you to confirm as well, your co-founder does the same. So out of that 11K, how much of that cost structure is allocated to salaries between yourself and the group that you have as well through the contractors?
Well, I think in January we didn't take much salary at all, and that was all was going to the team. Nowadays, we can afford more of that, so everything is distributed for the hosting costs and the team. So that's pretty much what we have. We don't have much, you see. Like, okay. If it's a quiet month, we're getting less. as the founders, but the team needs to be fed. And as I mentioned before, some of them are contractors.
Preston, if you acquired because this is really what you're asking, if you acquired this company, how much do you think you'd have to spend to run it and grow it? Would you operate at break even, or would you harvest like cash flow and try and pay back off the acquisition price?
Yeah, I mean, I would want to harvest cash flow, and I'd be a little concerned about that to replace the founder salaries. I think they'd probably be a little more expensive to replace than the guys running it now that started it. And I'm just looking at, from a long range perspective. I mean, it's a pretty crowded and competitive market, and I'd like to be able to take working capital and invest it in a bunch of feature upgrades, at an accelerated pace and add to the staff there. So I think it would be a challenge. All right, Matt, let's go to you. Last questions here. Where's your head at?
Yeah, are you willing to stay on and focus on this 100% if you were to acquire the business?
The last part was swallowed. I mean, yeah, I will be willing to work on that 100%. That's my goal, and I want this to grow bigger, even if it's.
Stas, people won't believe you. People won't believe you when you say that you would do this full time, because they just go to your LinkedIn and see the side projects. And there's a lot. It's very hard to get an MVP built and launched. And sometimes people are addicted to launching the MVP. And once the MVP is launched, the dopamine hit is gone, and they don't focus on scaling it. So part of the thing that these buyers are going to be curious about is like, will he actually sort of go in on this if we buy it full time, or should they be planning to pay someone else to run this and not have you involved post acquisition? So think carefully about your answer here. Would you want to be 100% involved post acquisition?
Yeah, I think this is the one that I've been involved with for the last 2 years, and over the last 2 years we didn't launch anything major. It was just some tiny toy gigs on Product Hunt for the hype to provide more users, to get more users for Karma for the last 2 years. Before that, yeah.
No, I mean, as long as you're interested in doing it full time, I think what you actually need is a bit of a shot to get to the other side of where you're currently at, and that investment is a little bit outsized. So I think there's an interesting proposition we could put forward here.
All right, guys, buyers, think about what you would offer. In the meantime, all of you guys watching, we send this magazine out to about 10,000 B2B SaaS founders every month. You can see the ones printed from last month with Ryan Kulp on the cover. We featured Bootstrap founders. Next one, we really rip into Outreach.io, their 1.3 billion valuation. We've got Neil Patel's favorite Chrome extension featured, Drew Riley's Trends.vc, and Nat Eliason's Growth Hacks to Know featured. And inside, what you will see is all this data from founders, right, on their revenue, their growth tactics, their churn, their CAC, all of this sort of stuff. So encourage you guys to check it out. I want to say thank you to all of you. A lot of you guys went in and grabbed last month's copy. It's by far the most expensive magazine in the world at $29 an issue, but the data is worth it. And you can see, again, I want to thank all of you guys that grabbed it last month. There's a screenshot on Stripe of you grabbing it. If you guys want a copy, you can go to nathanlacka.com/magazine. All right, Andrew, let's go back to you. You going to make an offer here, or are you out, and why?
Yeah. So Stas, first of all, congrats on what you built. I think it's a great product, but I do agree with some of the people on the show saying that you have something good going, but I have an idea if you're open to it. I would think of something around like maybe 200K where I come in as essentially your CRO. I recently took a company from about 5 figures to 7 figures in about 10 months.
You can name the company, Andrew. Spiff, right? They just raised a big round.
Yeah, Spiff just raised a $10 million Series A. So very familiar with, starting from zero. That's my sweet spot. If that's something you're interested in, I'd be open to doing that. But candidly, Stas, I think that's your Achilles heel is you're a product builder. And I think you need a scaler in the business, someone who'd roll up their sleeves. And if you're interested in talking about that, that's something I'd be interested in exploring.
That's an exciting, this is the interesting insight. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Andrew, wait, just quantify that. I didn't understand that. I want to make sure the audience understands it. What are you offering? You're saying $200,000 to go where, and how will you be involved?
Yeah, I mean, this is just napkin stuff, but I'm thinking 200K, I would need to own probably 60, 70%. But the goal there would also be to resell the business once we get to around a 2 to 3 million valuation. So that would kick you back 600 to 900K if we were successful.
So Stas, your offer from Andrew, we're going to go to Preston here in a second. Your offer from Andrew is about 200 grand for 70 to 80% of the company. You'd also get him as a talent. Your equity would be greatly diminished, but the goal would be together you're more powerful than separate. You'd grow the company with the idea of getting a second cut at the napkin, a second liquidity event, and call it a year or two when you go to $2 or $3 million bucks. Preston, let's go to you. Are you interested here?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the platform risk between Slack and Microsoft. I think there's some API risk there, and then at the same time, they could also roll something out. I would expect they will if they haven't already in the near-term future as the space gets more crowded. That combined with the low working capital, I'm going to be out.
All right, Preston, thanks for coming on. Stas, anything you want to counter there? You disagree with Preston on any of that?
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's all good.
All right, Matt, let's go to you. Where's your head at? You in or out?
It's a similar structure, not quite as aggressive as Andrew had put forward. It's a similar thing. You really need time investment from go-to-market folks to kind of get out of the space that you're currently in. If you can do that at no cost, the better. So we would come in, we basically purchase an option in the company. We'd give you a valuation, probably anywhere from, it would depend, we'd do a range option. So depending on performance over the next 6 months, we'd say it'd be 800 to 1.2 million roughly. And then we would say, you know, if you hit these things, then we exercise the option, we purchase 51%. We want you guys to stay incentivized as founders, so you'd still retain 49. And then we'd go forward from there. So that's what the option would look like on that path. But it's just to kind of get out of this space, make sure and validate the concept of the growth that you guys got going. If we can accelerate that, you know, then we pay you for the work that you've done and you get to come on the ride with us over the long run. So that's the way we structure it.
Stas?
Yes, that's very interesting. This is something that I need to discuss with my co-founder, David. And the pattern is there. Everybody's questioning the growth and the scalability and the ability to scale. And us being product people, building and launching could be our drag, not scaling. So it's a very valid set of questions, and I asked them myself.
Well, so Stas, Matt called Andrew's offer aggressive. You heard Matt's option. I didn't hear Matt offering any sort of cash up front. He just sort of wanted a 51% option. Matt, there's no cash up front, right?
No, we do bring.
Well, could I count, Matt?
And we would use that to actually. Sorry.
How much cash, Matt?
Sorry?
How much cash would you bring in?
We'd bring about 30 to 50K plus time. So actual sales, things like that. If we validate that the growth is taking off, then we exercise the option and pay you the premium. If we don't, then, you know, we just take a small piece of equity and we move on.
Andrew?
So I would be, again, we'd have to work out the details, but it would be 200K plus my time.
Okay. Jason Lemkin, because I'm going to bring you back since you're still here. Keeping a deal simple is really critical to making something happen over time. Like earnouts get complicated, options can get complicated. When a founder is in a moment like Stas is right now, how should he be battling for simplicity?
Well, these deals are bringing on a significant co-founder, really is what they are, right? There's not a lot of liquidity involved here. So you're deciding in a matter of minutes whether these are good business partners to give up 50 to 80, 70% of your business. It's complicated, right? I would think of this more as bringing on a business co-founder that may be your boss, maybe your CEO, I'm not sure of the structure, so that you have some chance that that this equity could be worth a lot of money, right? So I think it's complicated. You're getting married very quickly. And sometimes that works. It worked for Drew Houston at Dropbox. They knew each other for like 4 hours after Y Combinator, and they're running a $9 billion company. So absolutely it can work. These deals are getting married and giving up control. So, you know, that's a lot to do for 2 years of your life.
Stas, this is your Who Wants to Be a Millionaire phone a friend moment. We've got Jason on. You got any questions for him?
Well, I think he said what I was about to say. This is the speed dating kind of situation. We've talked to we've communicated with Andrew on Karma before, so it's not like we met for the first time.
That's
he saw the numbers before, and he tracked this. So I'm not going to accept anything right now just because I have a co-founder, and that co-founder is has a 50% share in this, obviously. But yeah, both options are interesting and at the same time complicated.
Yeah, Jason, thanks for jumping back on. Andrew, you sold your company. Same question to you. Now that you've heard and listened to Stas Placement, you've heard from Andrew and Matt. Would you give Stas any advice here on these offers?
These are interesting. I think I understand you wanted to go talk to your co-founder. Lock yourselves into a time for a follow-up phone call. Right now, you've got their attention. You've got their book. No Calendly. Just say, here's when we can talk. Let's schedule a phone call with each of them one-on-one. And if you want, bring your partner on, but don't let this go stale. Move it forward. And then even if you don't end up taking a deal, see if you can get some support and help and some insight from them.
Yep.
But let's do it now. If you're not going to make a deal now.
Andrew, any questions?
No, I just had that one statement.
All right. Stas, do you want to ask Andrew any question?
No, I'm good. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much.
All right. So Stas, listen, I'm going to force you into difficult complications. So for the sake of the show and for the sake of education, like, you know, sort of how your co-founder operates, right? You guys know how you're thinking. You have sort of two options, right? You've got Andrew, who's saying, listen, I sold a SaaS company after growing it to 18 million revenue. I was CRO at Spiff. I just helped them raise a bunch of money and grow their revenue. And then I got out of the company. Now I'm looking to buy a company and do it. You've got Matt, who was like the guy at two pretty successful B2B SaaS stories at Amplitude and obviously Optimizely as well, now doing these deals as well. He's offering an option sort of 51% plus 20 to 50K of operating capital up front. Andrew is saying, give me 70 to 80%. You'll get all my time. I'll come in plus 200K. Guys, those are the offers, right? Andrew, Matt, you want to change anything? Or those are the offers?
No, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it just says, once we validate the growth from the 30, 50K investment, we then exercise the option to pay him out at the increased valuation. So I want to make that clear, that the way it structures is we then pay you the either 400 to 600K once we validate that the growth is there.
Andrew, anything else you want to add?
No. And then Stas, if anything, just want to say, totally understand about the fact of like getting married and these sort of relationships being long-term. So would be happy to, chat offline, but I definitely think this thing can go to a few million and you can sell for a lot more than you're looking to get right now. And I'd be happy to help you do that.
All right, Stas, we're out of time. Make a decision. Which of these offers do you think your co-founder will respond better to?
I think the options one, the one that Matt's presenting is more interesting. But in any case, we'll have to talk about this offline. And,
all right.
Schedule call. Stay in touch is something that I would do.
All right, Andrew, Matt, thanks for jumping on, guys. Appreciate it. Stas, so look, that was like, you come in, you do this thing. These are real buyers. These are real experts. They've really done it. Great talent here. You got to talk to your co-founder, obviously. And just to be clear, equity-wise, you guys are split 50-50 right now?
Yeah.
Very good. So the deal you're taking back, and I would encourage you, you have the emails. I'll connect you right after this to both Andrew and Matt so you can work this behind the scenes. But look, see what happens. Or maybe you take Lemkin's advice and you just, build this over time, and Andrew's as well, and just build this over time and build a great company. Guys in the chat, Birdseed, George, Darwin, Bassam, Tigger. Guys, do you think this happened how you thought it would? Play out how you thought it would? Stas, do you have any last thoughts? Is this sort of what you expected?
Yeah, I got some of the questions answered. The scaling question is a very much huge question every day. I think about that, and this is just a confirmation that this is the issue. Well,
yeah, very good.
This is the perceived issue.
Yep. Very good. Well, guys, again, just to summarize, you are watching Deal or Bust, where SaaS founders come to sell their companies. You just met Stas, who is building a company called Karma. You met three great buyers. And a quick reminder, if you guys are buying or selling companies, or you want to come on as an expert, go to nathanlaka.com/casting to come on a future episode. As you can see, we get several hundred live, and about 3,000 to 5,000 will watch this in the first 24 hours. It's live up on YouTube. Additionally, if any of you guys are following along with the stealth project I'm working on, I'm not saying anything else other than what's on the screen right now. I encourage you to check it out. We'll do about $10 million in deals here in the next, call it 30 to 60 days, already about 3 million deployed. So check out founderpath.com if you're looking for funding and you don't want to give up equity. And then lastly, if you want to make sure you catch all future episodes, go to nathanlaka.com/YouTube subscriber. If you're watching here on YouTube already, click subscribe below and then click the bell icon. And again, Stas, this does not work without you coming on and being very vulnerable, letting us put your numbers up here on the screen. You were vulnerable. They're out there now. It feels good though, right? Hopefully get more customers.
Yeah. I think it was fun, great, intense fun. making one make decisions on the spot. This is tough.
All right, Stas, thank you. Guys, again, I want to thank all of you, Hugo, Benjamin Munich, Noam Nagarati. Guys, thank you for watching. You're watching Deal or Bust. Don't miss next week's episode at nathanlatka.com/next week. We'll also continue this conversation in the B2B SaaS founders group that we have at nathanlatka.com/Slack. And just before we check out, we always like to get feedback on the show if we're doing a good job, if there's things you think we can improve. Guys, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being super educational, did you guys enjoy the show? Let me know in the chat, and I will jump in afterwards and engage with everyone. But until next Thursday at 1 p.m. Central, go build your companies. Have a lot of fun. I want to thank all of our experts today, Andrew Warner of Mixergy, Jason Lemkin of SaaStr, Tom Hunt of SaaS Marketer, all the buyers for coming on and also making tough decisions live. Preston, a newcomer, we're going to have him back. A lot of time at Amazon building a 9-figure internal business there. Matt, who's built great B2B SaaS companies in Optimizely, and Amplitude. And lastly, again, Andrew, an operator at Heart to Heart, had a great exit event, now looking to go in and operate a company. We appreciate everyone, and most importantly, Stas, for coming on with Karma, a tool for your Slack groups. Thanks, everyone. Again, this was Deal or Bust. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. All right, guys.